આપણે આજે
બોલો
ગુરુવારે જે લેક્ચર હતું એમાં તંત્રનું જે પેલા પ્રોફેસર જે એને કર્યું હતું એ લેક્ચર, so that is the right side of the tantra, which is a good one.
I mean, it's primarily, yeah, right.
The right side, I give you the names of the
He was good. એનું ખાલી મને pronunciation જરા સમજતા વાર લાગી, because
you're right.
He is a Nepali?
Yeah, he's a
Nepali. Nepali હતા.
એટલે એમની બોલવાની સ્ટાઇલ થોડી
મને અમુક ખબર નહીં, કેચ ન થયું બરાબર.
Yeah, you're right. જાનાબેન આમ એટલે પછી કહું તમને કે the left path એટલે શું કે ભોગ અને યોગ are same. Idea is basically yoga is
Rajan, sorry. Janaben is not going to join now.
Oh, નથી join થવાના? Okay. All right. Then we'll continue. So, so basically left path is something like bhog and yog are essentially same. So what they taught, 5 M's, Mas, Madira, Maithun, something else, 5 M's. All these things are acceptable.
It's Emma.
Left-sided on tantra.
Oh, left
so the
side.
dark path of tantra was similar to that. એટલે બેઝિકલી આપણે વાર્તા વાંચ્યો ને કે ભાઈ કે મેલ ને ફિમેલ યુનિયન, શંકરા સ્કૂલ ઇઝ બેઝિકલી લિંગ ઇઝ બેઝિકલી મેલ એન્ડ ફિમેલ યુનિયન. So they use that as a dark side, saying that I am transmitting the energy, male energy into female energy and vice versa. So for them, Maithun means sexual intercourse. The way to transmit the divine power is through that. So call it that. That's a dark side of tantra. And સંઘર્ષ મૂવી ની અંદર વાર્તામાં બધું એવું છે કે પેલી કાળીને ચડાઈ દે કે તમે કશું કરો, તમે વિરુદ્ધમાં કશું કરો તો તમારો ખેલ ખતમ. પછી નેપાળની અંદર if you have seen the pictures કે અમુક દિવસે કાળીની આપણે પ્રાર્થના ને બધું હોય, લોકોને તહેવાર હોય, so they will kill so many goats and so many cattle, and so it's like bizarre form of Kali worship. So that is the left-sided tantra, and I'm not talking about that. But anyway, that's a side show.
So in the Buddhism, they have similar thing.
Well, I mean, it's a modified version of tantra, more sophisticated version of tantra.
All these left-handed tantra are called Vammargis.
Vammargis.
And again, this is what we take it as this mudra, masya, e બધું માંસ મદિરાની વાત છે. પણ some people say, this is, you have to be in the tradition to know this, what Vammargi tantra is. And basically, usually people don't go for it. But they say that this is a coded language. They want to protect their thing so much કે આપણે જેને માસ માનીએ છીએ it may not be the normal, it is a usage, પણ એનો અર્થ કદાચ જુદો હોઈ શકે એવી એક શક્યતા છે. That's what people say about it, those who are scholars in it. Now coming to last Thursday's lecture, there were some practices mentioned. તો એ વિજ્ઞાન ભૈરવ, તો એ રુદ્ર યમલા તંત્ર છે. It comes from Vignan Bhairav, is basically a tantra. સવારના પર હું એક પ્રેયર કરું છું, નમસ્તે સતે સર્વ લોકાય, સંસ્કૃતમાં છે. That comes from Mahanirvana tantra. So not all of these tantras are that way. And it's a very nice prayer. It says that there is one side which is in the world and there is one side which is up there. And those two sides, my life goes between those two sides. I recognize those two sides. So that's basically the heart of Shaivism. So Tantrism basically has this idea. But of course, there is a Vammargi. There are Vammarg Tantras.
Right. The Vammarg is a small sect, call it a secret sect within the Tantra.
And that is also in Vaishnavism. There is something called, if you want to read up, this is Vammargi, so we don't talk about it. But there is a Sahajiya school in Bengal. Bauls, you probably heard it. So Bauls and Sahajiya school. They also belong to the Gaudiya Vaishnavism, if you know Gaudiya Vaishnavism. But Gudiya sect will not recognize Sahajiyas as their own thing, because that's what there is this Boga theory. That's what they believe in. That's why they are out of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's tradition.
But Anilbhai and Rajanbhai, એક સવાલ એ થાય છે કે આ જે તંત્રની તમે વાત કરો છો, so those came later on, like Buddha did not talk about tantra, or
No, they were there. See, the problem is that we are talking about hundreds of years of history. So it's hard to know what existed at what point, because India was a big country, and so different things happened different times. It's hard to know how much came at what point in time. But Tantra was not necessarily something unknown at that time. Buddha may or may not have been influenced by it, but it existed.
yeah,
Tantras
before
were
Anilbhai.
Vedas. It is called agamas. When you hear the word agamas, basically they are tantras. Then
Yeah,
later
you're right.
on, agamas addition, became some of that became Purana. So agama is older than the Vedic tradition. So tantras were there before even the Vedas were there. That's what they say.
So આપણે આ કથા કરીએ કે યજ્ઞ કરીએ બધું એ part of the tantra કહેવાય?
No, it's part of Veda.
No.
That's Veda. Yeah, okay.
તો કે આપણે આ બધા જે રાજાઓ યજ્ઞ કરતા હતા પેલું શું પેલું ઘોડાનો યજ્ઞ કરતા ઘોડાને
Ashwamedha Yajna,
અશ્વમેઘ યજ્ઞ. Okay.
That's all
So-
part of the Vedas.
Oh, wait.
Good ones.
But when
Go
you
ahead.
do puja,
It's so curiosity કે આ ક્યાંથી આ બધું આવ્યું. અને Buddhism, at that time people were eating meat, right? આ તમે કહો છો ને માંસ મદિરા તંત્રમાં આવ્યું. તો what were they? Vegetarian or non-veg?
No, all were not.
I don't know. Just
In olden times, Brahmin used to eat meat.
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
આ બધા વેદિક સેક્રિફાઈસ બકરા ને બધાને સેક્રિફાઈસ છે. અશ્વમેઘ યજ્ઞ શું એટલે શું ઘોડાને મારી નાખે, પેલો ઘોડો જાય પછી અઠવાડિયા કે 15 દિવસ પછી ઘોડાને મારી નાખે અને they will eat that.
Yeah,
oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, actually બધામાં બુદ્ધનું મન નથી ખબર, પણ મહાવીર was a ક્ષત્રિય. He ate meat before he became Mahavir.
Actually,
એ લોકો ક્ષત્રિય હતા, right? મહાવીર
Yeah.
કે અશ્વમેઘ કરવાવાળા બધા રાજાઓ.
actually meat eating factor is not something which, because the agriculture came quite later. Agriculture is a very refined process. So it came quite later in the entire human
શરૂઆતમાં તો
existence.
હવે બધા
Really?
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know.
survival.
ને બીજું કે
Agriculture.
hard to know for sure, the Indian statistics is always not reliable, but right now according to what the website says, only 26% of Hindus are pure vegetarian.
Very pure vegetarian.
Yeah, that.
So kind of we are talking about 1/4.
No, because see, some people eat seafood and they still consider themselves vegetarian.
So that way Bengal they eat fish and they call themselves vegetarian.
Vegetarian, exactly.
what to
હા,
talk
અત્યારે અહીંયા
about
વેદાંત
Maharashtra?
સોસાયટીમાં આપણે પ્રસાદી એટલે જ્યારે પછી બધું પતી જાય પછી એક બાજુ આ ફિશે હોય અને પછીથી પેલું ખાવાનું પણ હોય.
Right.
એટલે મંદિર છે પણ એમાં આ પણ હોય એમ.
No, but the number what he stated, only 26% only.
Pure
That's
vegetarian, yeah.
Yeah, that is alarming number.
Yeah,
I didn't
it
realize
is.
that.
But remember, Gujarat, Rajasthan, part of Uttar Pradesh and part of Tamil Nadu are only pure vegetarian. Or at
Vegetarian.
least majority of the vegetarians.
Vegetarian.
Rest of the country is a sort of mixture of everything.
Yeah.
And Gujarat became vegetarian after Jainism in Gujarat.
Jainism, exactly right.
It's Jainism that brought the vegetarian thing. There was an interesting question. I am not sure about the authenticity. Rajendra Bhai can verify it. But બુદ્ધના એક જણે લોકોએ પૂછ્યું કે મીટ ખાવું જોઈએ આપણે કે નહીં ખાવું જોઈએ, તો બુદ્ધે શું કહ્યું કે if it is not killed for you, then it may be all right to eat that thing. But if it's going to be killed for you, then you should not eat it.
I mean, that is a story that I have read too, yeah. I don't know how true it. એટલે બેઝિકલી કે તમે પોતે જાતે મારીને તમારા માટે ખાધું હોય, that's not good. પણ કે ઓલરેડી મરી ગયેલું હોય ને ખાઓ, so that's fine. એટલે બેઝિકલી આપણે મીટ માર્કેટમાં તમે લઈ આવો, so nobody has done it for me. If you want to eat it, you can say they didn't kill that cow for me. they kill for everybody else, so I can eat it. I mean, you can argue about that, right? Anyway, let's be such a side show.
Yeah.
ના, ના,
I'm
એના
sorry.
જાણવાની જરૂર છે.
Yeah.
That's the whole discussion.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Like now we are getting offshoot.
One other minor point. You said about the
Sorry, Sue, આ તો આપણું group છે. That's what you should listen.
ના, જાણવા મળે છે કે
Yeah,
there's so much curiosity.
That's good.
ગયા વખતના લેક્ચરમાં પેલા આપણા નેપાળી એમને પૂછ્યું હતું, શેવિસ વાળાને પૂછ્યું હતું કે તમે પ્રેક્ટિસ શું કરો છો? તો એણે શું કહ્યું કે પ્રેક્ટિસ બધી જે કરીએ છીએ એમાં some of the practices we do today, you know, the puja and all these things, there is a tantrism in it. If you do not see it, but om, him, shrim, klim, all these bijas are tantra bija. One of these days we'll talk about in Shaivism what this mantra, where these bija things came from. You know, if you go to Srividya school, which is very popular in Vaishnavism.
Yeah, બેન આપણે શિવયોગમાં જે છે તંત્ર જ છે.
Exactly. તમે કએ ઇલાહિમ બોલો છો તમે, him. Asakkalahim.
Yeah, right.
Asakkalahim. All these mantras are basically that.
Yeah.
They come, part of the puja vidhi is coming from tantra.
ના એટલે મારા સસરા છે તે પણ એટલે એમ કે તંત્ર વિદ્યા જ શીખ્યા હતા, એટલે એમને આ બધા કેવું કે ઓમ ઝૂમ સમ આમ પાલે પાલે સજુમ ઓમ એ બધા કેવું કે તાંત્રિક મંત્રો જ એમને ખબર હતી.
એ ઝૂમ સા છે ને એ નેત્ર
મંત્ર.
It comes from I have checked it. It is coming from netra tantra. And it is basically trambake yajamahe sugandhim. That is the long form. This is a small form.
Long vastu ne small karvu, it is the tantra ni vastu, right?
It's
La ilaha illallah illallah
અનિલભાઈ
rasulullah.
બીજ મંત્ર છે એ બધા તાંત્રિક
Yes,
બીજ મંત્ર.
yeah, Bij mantra comes from a tantra because they have shortened those kind of thing. It's one that mantra is also a part of Shaivism, and that all these things come from some origin which is called Shabda Brahma. This is a philosophy that goes beyond it's another branch and it will confuse more. But when you look at the Shabda Brahma, Shabda, any energy che, that energy is into some of the alphabets. That is the idea. And so, and then there is this nomenclature, him, shrim, klim is a Kali mantra che, you know. But there could be a Vedantic also bij, and you could have a Tantric bij. Om is a Vedantic bij. Om is equally a good symbol things, no? So they symbolize certain things, no?
Right.
Anyway, this is a big shastra.
Right. Coming back to the question કે ભાઈ નયનાબેને પૂછ્યું કે બધા કઈ જગ્યાએ શું છે, so that this graph, this picture gives you an idea કે બુદ્ધિઝમ કઈ જગ્યાએ ડોમિનન્ટ કયો છે. શ્રીલંકામાં અને થાઈલેન્ડ અને બર્મા અને those places, Theravada, Hinayan path is the dominant religion. પછી China, Japan, all those Korea, wherever Buddhism is primarily Mahayana kind of Buddhism. And Tibet and Mongolia and a part of China is primarily Vajrayana, which is Tibetan Buddhism, which is more in line with Tantra kind of idea.
Tantric.
Do they follow Buddhism in India?
Well, maybe Buddhism exists in India, but there is no specific area where it is confined to.
શ્રીલંકામાં છે, right?
What is the percentage?
Less than 1%.
Okay.
Some of the Dalit, like Ambedkar, they converted to Buddhism.
That's right.
Really?
Yeah, Ambedkar converted to Buddhism. So some of those guys have become Buddhist. But because it's such a small percentage and there is no specific area where they are confined.
આપણે તો બધું જ માનતા હોય તો પછી આપણે
But
શું કહેવું?
remember at the time of Ashok, when Ashok was ruling India, most of the India was Buddhism, was Buddhist at the time.
His time, yeah.
But
Yeah.
that is where the Pali language was flourishing.
Right,
That's
exactly
correct.
right.
Prominent.
So this is sort of a geographic distribution, how dominant. But remember that within each one, it's a mixture. It's not like primarily, I mean, it's primarily one, but it's not like necessarily only one. There may be subgroups within that as well. All right. let's move on.
Just એક જ મારી એક કલીગ હતી ને, હું જ્યાં જોબ કરતી હતી, so she is a Buddhist અહીંયા કે ઓખી લગાડ કે ક્યાંક છે South I-35 પર, she belonged there. I did that time, I didn't know okay, which Buddhism, but she goes into pilgrim to India. There are 3 places, Buddha Gaya and Badhu, okay, they have something, they stamp on it that you have visited, jatra karwa jaiye na ena jevo. So that's what she was telling me, that she went to India and at 3 jagaye gayi thi ne badhu.
Part of Buddhist his pilgrimage is India and part is in Nepal and Tibet. You know, because it's a northeast corner of India, so it's a mixture, I mean, depending upon where you are.
ના જેમ આપણામાં પણ છે ને કાશી જવાનું ને આ જવાનું, ચાર ધામની યાત્રા કરે, same thing they have that too, they have to visit that holy places.
Right.
Buddhi Gaya is near Banaras, બધો area is like that.
Oh, okay.
65 માઇલ જ છે.
નજીક એટલે ઇન્ડિયા ગયા એવું જ લાગે. Right.
Interesting thing about Bhutan, if you travel in Bhutan is totally Buddhist. There is no other religion but Buddhist. And Buddhism also is a political thing. You know, રાજા એનો છે, એ રાજા અડધું રાજ કરે અને અડધું રાજ એ બુદ્ધિસ્ટ લોકો રાજ કરે. So there is a combination. It's a totally really half religion.
Wow.
શેની વાત કરો અનિલભાઈ? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Bhutan.
Bhutan is a very interesting country. You know, the Buddhism in Bhutan came from Tibet. You know, and there is somebody called Padma Sambhava. You know, he brought that thing. You know, but Bhutan is a valley. It's an interesting valley. Sundays you should go there, and it's totally Buddhist.
Same thing in Sikkim too, right?
Yes, Sikkim.
Sikkim is also predominantly Buddhist.
Sikkim is, yes.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so now Mahayana is the one that has the most followers of Buddhism. It's a larger percentage, I don't remember the percentage, but they are larger group. It's in Tibet, China, Korea, Japan, all. And remember, they are not necessarily same or similar. You know, they are similar but not same. So within Japan, Mahayana is a dominant school, but it's a mixture of many different parts. So each country, like our India, Gujarat ma jao, to Vaishnavism judo hoy, and Bengal ma jao to Vaishnavism is judo hoy. Ena jevu. એટલે there is a difference, but that's basically the idea. There are 3 things that are similar to Buddha, to Vedanta. Nirman, Buddha has three bodies. You know, now again, this is coming closer to Vedanta. What is a historical person named Buddha? Nirmanakaya. Sambhogakaya, the word Sambhog is similar to what the Shaivite school will mention also. You know, Sambhogakaya is celestial Buddha or Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva is what? Not the Buddha himself, but people like saints and sannyasis who acquired similar nirvana as Buddha himself. So they are called Bodhisattva. So they are not necessarily Buddha Bhagwan themselves, but they are like આપણે દેવ અને angel કહીએ ને કે કૃષ્ણ ભગવાન ને પછી બધા angels બધા દેવ બધા. It's like that. So the people, the Mahatma who acquired same kind of enlightenment as like Buddha. So they are called Bodhisattva. So for Bodhisattva, what they do is, besides doing all this devotion and meditation and all those things, they go out in the community and teach Mahatma how to be liberated. So they are called Bodhisattva. So that is another body of Buddha. So essentially, Buddha physically, Buddha nominally, which is what these people are. And Dharmakaya is absolute formless nature of Buddha. So essentially similar to Nirgun Brahman now. So Buddhahood is a state of perfection. That perfection is not fullness of Vedanta, but state of perfection of void, of shunyata. So that is the third aspect. So what they pray is the man named Buddha, the Mahatmas or the saints who acquired the same kind of status. That is Sambhogakaya. And the third Dharmakaya is basically that Buddha pervades everything. Similar to what Vedanta will teach. But for them, that pervading aspect is not necessarily fullness, but it's a shunyata, it's emptiness. That emptiness pervades everything. So that is Dharmakaya of Buddha. Right. So Dharmakaya is an enlightened body. So body without a body, call it that way. A person without a body is Dharmakaya.
So where the mind comes, like Buddha always thinks everything is in mind.
Right.
So the Dharmakaya is like a mind.
Mind, exactly right. For them, Atman doesn't exist. So mind is pervading everything. That consciousness that is flickering, it pervades everywhere. That is the idea. So Nirmanakaya is temporary because there's a physical structure. Like Buddha man is temporary. Sambhogakaya is a beginning, but it's endless. So it's a chain of people who acquired nirvana, and it will keep on going again and again and again. They will keep on having next Buddha, they'll keep on happening again and again. Life after life after life.
Shankaracharya
Similar to that idea. Dharmakaya is beginningless and endless because it's all pervading phenomenon, similar to Brahman. It has no beginning, no end. It exists all the time. It is a changeless phenomenon. All right. So Mahayana is just call it that way. It is closer to Vedanta. Theravada or Hinayan is further away from Vedanta. All right. Let's move on. So Trikaya is basically same idea. There are Buddha has three bodies, three kaya. Of Maya, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya. I think I explained that already. It's a different way of explanation, but it's basically Dharmakaya is empty of the essence. And then Sambhogakaya and all those things. So I wrote down that they are similar to, Nirgun Brahman is similar to Dharmakaya, except that it's a diametrically opposite view. It is not fullness, it is the emptiness. Saguna Brahman is similar to Sambhogakaya. That means Buddhahood, or call it Ishvara. And saints and Mahatmas who acquired the Nirvana state. And Nirmanakaya is the human form of Buddha. So, after the Vedanta, there's a Nirgun Brahman, there is a Sagun Brahman, and you and me.
Yeah.
You know, so that's a similar idea. All right. Mahayana doctrine of Bodhisattva. Now I explain Bodhisattva. What is Bodhisattva? Main tenet of Bodhisattva is compassion, karuna, and wisdom, prajna. So when you become Bodhisattva, you acquire these two characteristics. When you are enlightened, you become compassionate and you acquire wisdom of Buddha. The Buddha, yeah, go ahead.
Is this similar to like Jainism? Tirthankar થઈ ગયા એના જેવું?
Well, I mean, they don't have anything concept like a Buddha number 24, number 23, number 22. They don't have that kind of idea. But you can call it that similar to that. There are no 24 Buddhas. Or no, there is no such thing as a nomenclature per se. But they are essentially similar to Buddha.
Oh, okay.
I see. Okay, this is offline. When we were visited Met Museum in New York City, so it looks like Buddha, but I look at Bodhisattva lakhelu niche. At that time I didn't know, okay, what does that difference? They look like a Buddha, but mane khabar na padi ke why they were writing Bodhisattva. Now I know, okay, it's they attend karyu, they become Bodhisattva now.
Precisely right. Bodhisattva is not the man Buddha Bhagwan himself.
Bhagwan,
Anybody who else who get covered the same enlightenment.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So it's a state of perfection is called Bodhisattva, who devotes himself altruistically for service of the others. That's his function. Putting aside all self-serving notions in contrast to the preceding pursuit of self-interested liberation, which is the characteristic of Hinayana. So in Hinaya pathway, individual becomes nirvana buddhi comes. There is no buddhi sattva there. But the one who is liberated essentially withdraws from the world. He doesn't go out in the community to do all those things that buddhi sattva will do. The state of mind of buddhi sattva is the relative. The mind directed towards enlightenment, the ceasing and craving of the attachment, basically. So he is not craving for things from outside. Absolute. Mind whose nature is enlightened. We already talked about that. The Bodhisattva must place himself in the position of others in order to be selfless and embody compassion. So basically what he is doing is not thinking about himself. He is doing for the community at large. That is called Bodhisattva. All right, let's move on. So meditation on Buddha. I think Buddha has a different way of putting stuff. This thing comes similar to Shaivism, by the way. The Buddha possesses 3 bodies. There are 3 centers of the body. Head center is between the eyebrows. It corresponds to Nirmankaya or physical body. Think about Shankar Bhagwan's 3rd eye.
Oh.
Similar to that idea. Okay? Throat center corresponds to Sambhogakaya and subdued subtle energy flows through the speech. Now that is the idea called Sambhogakaya or Sambhokaya in Shaivism. The idea is that Shakti of Parvati, Kali, comes from the word of Shankara, and that comes from the throat of Shankara. So the Shakti of Shankara emanates from his throat in the form of Shakti. So you can see that there is a similarity there again. The throat center. Anil bhai, add if I made a mess out of it.
No. I think you are right. This is You could say that thing. It's one of the things we do in some of the puja. This is a puja concept here. It's something called nyasa. We don't do it here, for the shortness of it. But there, this is very prominent in Shaivism. But I think Buddhist puja, Vaishnavism, in your body, you recognize several deities. Pinake Pushtavartati, Bahum, Indra Bahuma che, Bathama Mahashiv che, Shastra Dharma, Kanthama Saraswati che, Kanke, it's the Devi of speech. Those kind of concepts are there. Of course, the idea will vary. Vishnu Bhagwan Pagma che. It's very interesting to see Vishnu Bhagwan Pagma che. But those are the kind of things you go into it. And when you do this thing as a part of the puja, you recognize all of these deities in yourself. So that goes with this, what you are saying.
And the last one is the heart center, which corresponds to Dharmakaya. I was thinking about what this heart center is. In Shaivism, there is a Kundalini Shakti, Anahat Chakra, that lies here. So you can see the similarity. The heart center is Dharmakaya. So Anahat Chakra and heart center are essentially similar in nature. Now, I think what happened is this, that many of these ideas prevailed over thousands of years in India. So some of them were incorporated by different groups in a different way, but original basic idea was similar. So Buddha's 3 centers are, head center is similar to Shiva's 3rd eye, throat center is similar to Shiva and Shakti. The word coming from the throat of Shiva is Shakti. And heart center is similar to Anahat Chakra, that is Kundalini idea.
One other thing, if you look at Gita, this idea is there. It is basically in the heart. In the 18th chapter, you would have a verse, Ishwarinim Sarva Bhutanam, Radeshe Arjuna Tishtati, Radayama Vas Kare che. Ye Ishwar, Radayama Vas Kare che. What does it do? Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani, Yantra Rudani Maeva. Apanne mechanical yantra taraf ferve. It's a beautiful concept, but that heart ma Bhagwan vase che, a general manyata che. So that heart center is
everywhere is the same. Yeah.
Very popular.
All right, let's move on.
It's a beautiful concept.
So what is enlightenment? Tibetan use word rainbow body to symbolize enlightenment. It's basically what they are talking about is that it's a multicolor, multi-dimensional idea. Now I couldn't figure out what exactly rainbow is supposed to be meaning in terms of enlightenment. I couldn't find any references, but they call it is that 7 colors are displayed in these. The pure white is displayed as 7 colors. So that is the enlightenment. Why is that so? I have no idea.
I think white color has a 7 color.
No, that is true, but why it's called rainbow body, I don't know for sure.
Because white is a more pure. So white color considers all 7 colors.
And I may find somewhere along the line, but at least I couldn't find a very satisfactory explanation. Anyway.
But I'm trying to understand, the enlightenment comes through the meditation or
enlightenment
all those
comes from meditation. Yes, you're right.
Right. All the 5-6 things that you said earlier.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, enlightenment is process of meditation.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The purpose of meditation is to undermine our notion of a fixed and rigid self-identity, to show that it is changeable, mutable, and constantly shifting. So once you recognize that you are a constantly changing phenomenon, there is no impermanency, then that is the enlightenment. Recognition of that fact is the enlightenment. The concept of projection and transformation are central. What are those? All phenomena are projections of mind. So that is the explanation, that your mind is generating all these phenomena. They are not real per se. The mind itself does not exist, because mind is a conglomeration of skandhas, and there is no one entity that is called mind. It's a mixture of all those things. It is empty in its being, so there is nothing inside. Although empty, mind manifests everything without obstruction. So although mind itself is empty, it produces the images of flickering images of the consciousness that you perceive. But it's an emptiness by itself. All those 5 things that come together create a temporary phenomenon called mind, because mind doesn't exist. Now let me use an analogy which is not on this slide, but આપણે રથની છે ને, શંકર આપણે કૃષ્ણ ભગવાન રથમાં બેઠા છે, રાઈટ? અર્જુન ને રથ. આપણી એનાલોજી શું છે કે રથ, ઘોડા, લગામ, they are body, mind, intellect, all those. That is how it is explained, right? Arjun is Jivatma, Krishna Bhagavan is Atma. So Jivatma and Atma are sitting in a body which has a mind, which has reins, which is intelligence, and horses are the senses. That is the idea, right? Buddhism takes exactly reverse explanation. And I think Ashok Bhai had listened to me when I was in Vedanta Society. I explained there is a dialogue between Milind Panha and Nagasen. There is no such thing called chariot. But then how is so? He says, is wheel a chariot? Milind Panha says no. Is the body a chariot? He says no. Is the guy who is doing this is a chariot? So essentially what he says is exactly reverse engineering. Rath, the chariot, is just a name of all those things came together. But there is no such thing called chariot. If you take all those things away, nothing is left. So there is a void. What you call a chariot is a conglomeration of wheels, spokes, body, mixed all together is called chariot. If you take every part away, what is left is nothing. So Buddha says that is nothing, is the real self. So it's a reversal of what we say, or reversal of Vedantic idea. Am I making the point? That is how they explain. The Buddhism looks at the same issue in a completely different dimension.
Opposite.
It's opposite. If you're looking from left, it looks from the right, or looking from top to bottom. Right? So what exists, as what he says, is this this is a temporary phenomenon of all these things came together and created an entity called chariot, which doesn't exist. That is what how he explains. That is Nagasena's explanation of Buddhism. All right, let's move on.
One
How
more
much
thing.
time?
The
Yeah.
meditation you are talking about in all of these things has, I think, a name. It is called Vipassana. Vipassana meditation is based on Abhidharma. We talked about Abhidharma theory, all those 5 aggregates and all these things. So when you do this meditation, basically there is no name that you recite. આપણા મેડિટેશનમાં શું છે, જપ કરીએ તો નામ હોય, કોન્સન્ટ્રેશન માટે ઇમેજ હોય. આ મેડિટેશનમાં તમે વિપાસના કેમ્પમાં જાઓ તો there will be no name, no books, nothing. You totally, completely come blank. What you do is look at the breath. You look at the feelings. You know, where does it come from? You know, you thought, મગજમાં વિચાર આવ્યો તો you look at where the thought came from. So this goes with the whole theory of this Rath business. Because when you 10 દિવસ વિચાર કરી આવી રીતે તમે મેડિટેશન કરશો તો you will find that you will come to the depth of this self at the level of mind. Now the difference is, again, we think different way beyond the mind, but that's the element of Vipassana meditation. It goes with the Abhidharma theory.
એ પેલા એક
Goenka, sir.
ગોએન્કા
Yes.
મહારાજ ગોએન્કા.
How more time to back?
We have 3 minutes left.
Okay, let's go to the next slide, see if you can finish the next slide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the similarities between Hinduism and Buddhism? Illusory nature of the world and the role of karma and the bondage is common. Now, the question that you asked, Radhi bhai, will come to the next time. I don't think I have enough time to explain that.
Right. I was going to say that this is a very, very heavy slide to discuss.
So, desire is the root cause of suffering, which is similar to Vedanta. Rebirth, transmigration of soul and cycle of birth and death are there, but explanation varies. When both systems are there. You know, Vedanta and Hinduism both will talk about transmigration of soul and cycle of birth and death and rebirth and all those things, but explanation is variable. Compassion and non-violence toward all living beings is common. Existence of several higher and lower world is common. All those things exist in Buddhism too, or something similar to that, not exactly the same, but they exist. Existence of gods and deities on different planes also exist in Buddhism. Spiritual practices like meditation, concentration, cultivation of certain state of mind, the explanation may be different, but all these things exist. Detachment, renunciation of worldly life as a precondition to enter spiritual life. Same thing in both ways. And I think we'll stop here and we'll talk about this slide a little bit in detail next time around.
રાજનભાઈ મારું સજેશન એ જ હતું કે આ જો સ્લાઇડ પર આપણે થોડું વધારે તમે નેક્સ્ટ ટાઈમ કરો ને તો
next couple of slides are what are the similarities and what are the differences. So those are the slides.
All right.
And where does the Zen theory fits in here?
Zen Buddhism is Vajrayana theory. It's basically Zen Buddhism is Vajrayana school.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So we have 1 minute. I think અશોકભાઈ ને બી ખ્યાલ આવે કે આપણે હવે નેક્સ્ટ ક્યારે મળીશું જો કાલનું નેક્સ્ટ જવા દઈએ.
Let's see. Let me look at the calendar.
તો ચોથીએ મળવું છે કે 11 ચોથીનું આવશે, રાઈટ? જાન્યુઆરી 4th.
Yeah, January 4th out.
January 4th we should meet.
Okay.
તો ચોથીએ મળીશું, બરાબર?